going to show you a live picture out in Pasadena where a unique spay and neuter clinic is happening. This story is an example of the animal crisis happening in the Houston area. And here to talk about that clinic that's happening there in Pasadena is Chiquita Taylor, board member, Save, Rescue, and coordinator for Fix Your Pet. You were just telling me how you've been volunteering with them for a few years now.
Right.
And tell me about Ray's story. Like the shot that we're seeing in Pasadena, we just saw two women holding some little chihuahuas. What's the story there?
He had a couple of chihuahuas of his own as his own pets, and his mother has been ill. He lives there with his brother, but then people started dumping animals, chihuahuas there also, and
really?
They started multiplying, which is very common. You see where they start off with 2 or 3, and then there's 10 and 15. We've now ended up with 19 chihuahuas and 2 cats. So we're, instead of trying to bring all of those animals over to the clinic, we decided to take the clinic to the spot in Pasadena.
In order to spay and neuter these animals?
All of them, one time. So we've got Doc on the Block, which is Dr. Laura De La Prida. We've got Angela McGee, who's founder with Save Rescue, and then Caroline McKenna, who's with Lifeline Galveston. And it takes that team to pull this off and get the animals not only spayed and neutered, but also we're finding homes for them, new homes. So right now I think that Caroline has like 14 of them ready to go to fosters or adopters.
Okay, so when we talk about saving these pets, you're helping to place them, and how is spaying and neutering going to also assist in helping with this crisis?
Good question. Right now there's approximately maybe a little over 1 million stray animals in Houston. Yeah, so we cannot adopt that many out. We can't foster that many out.
That's basically like 1/5 of our population.
Exactly. You know? So we cannot, it won't work that way. You have to stop the reproduction cycle. And the only way to do that is to spay and neuter. So we strongly encourage people to bring in their pets, get them spayed and neutered. And we also have an outreach program where we go out and find stray cats, and we trap them, bring them in, spay and neuter them, and return them to their colonies.
Yeah. So my heart goes out to Ray, who's dealing with this issue. But how often does that happen to people in Houston where, you know, they're also trying to do the right thing? He wants to save these pets, but he just wasn't able to really find the right resources in the beginning. And
that actually happens a lot more frequently than people realize. And you find pockets of these in problem areas where it's a lower income and they have numerous pets or numerous animals per household, 10, 12, 15 per household. And they don't have the resources, or they're not aware of the resources that are available. And that's where we come in with our 3 A's. People need to be aware that these resources are available. They need to have access to these resources. In other words, there are a lot of people out there that have all these pets that have no transportation to get them to the clinic.
Sure, yeah.
And then you have to make it affordable. So it's either got to be low cost or it has to be free.
Well, good point, because so Lisa Hernandez, she's a colleague of mine, huge animal advocate, and when she told us about this story about how Ray initially tried to take the chihuahuas to a shelter, the shelter had told him that he was going to have to pay $25 to have them euthanized. So is that correct? Is that a common protocol?
Yes.
That happens?
Yes.
And that was a barrier for him too, and obviously he doesn't want to do that.
No,
you know,
he doesn't.
So he reached out to you guys?
Yes, he did, and fortunately we did connect up. Normally we service the Galveston County area, and we've got our handfuls doing
with just that area.
Yeah, but in this case we realized what was happening and we had to step in and do something to help. So this is not only going to get all those animals spayed and neutered, it's also going to get them in homes where it's going to be easier on him and his brother to take care of their own pets and not 18 others.
Oh, that's overwhelming.
It is.
And so he thinks he's doing the right thing. You would think it's the right thing to go to a shelter and seek help, but are you saying that we shouldn't do that?
No, I'm saying that you need to be aware. You need to ask questions. You need to be careful of whether you're going to a kill or a no-kill shelter. Houston's getting much better about that. But I think the primary thing is to spay and neuter before anything happens, before any animals get pregnant. Get in there, spay and neuter them.
Yeah.
This, over the 3 years that Fix Your Pet has been in, since conception, is we've done 8,150 animals that we've spayed and neutered. And that's a lot of
It's a lot, yeah, and
we're just this, the tip of the iceberg.
Well, we're going to be checking in with, at Ray's home throughout the broadcast to see the progress there. But we've talked about this stray animal issue as being a really big crisis in Houston. So I'm going to leave you with this. Do you think that we can ever solve it? Do you think we can help the homeless population, the animal homeless population?
I think that if we got more people involved in setting up clinics and expanding the clinics that we have, we can certainly make it to the point to where our regular animal control units can manage. But it's going to take a while. I mean, if you think about 1 million strays, that's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of money and a lot of volunteers.
That's what I was just thinking. I mean, like, it's so lovely that you have this ability, this mobile clinic that's able to get to Ray today, but that takes funding too.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it takes volunteers. I mean, they're, equally as important. You can't have one without the other and work.
So remind me how people can reach you if they're in need of help.
If they're in need of help, we actually use an email address, and it's fix, F-I-X, your, U-R, pet, P-E-T, @gmail.com.
Fixyourpet@gmail.com. Thank you so much. There it is. Let's take a look out in the Pasadena. We have that live shot camera set up like we saw at the beginning of this segment. The organization is hoping to start procedures, the spay and neuter procedures, starting at 8:30 this morning. So in just about 10 more minutes, we're going to check in. Those are some sweet looking dogs right there. So they do deserve a wonderful life and to have some families jump in and help foster and adopt them.